And changing tack slightly, you arrived today in a electric car, didn't you? And I had to admit that I've never driven one. I've never been in one. What's the experience been like?
Yeah, I am a huge fan of electric cars, and always have been. But I think you have to try them before you really can form an opinion on them. And I think that's the real challenge for the industry. Really, you can't do a test drive for the whole of Britain to really persuade them of their abilities. There are compromises, undoubtedly, but there are plus sides as well as negatives. Last night I forgot to charge my car in, so I set off knowing I wouldn't be able to get home. But do you know what? I stopped at a fast charger in Milton Keynes for about 25 minutes.
Okay.
Put close to 100 miles of range in. I'm sat here, not a bead of sweat on my brow.
Totally relaxed.
You just have to plan a bit more. You have to be a bit more adaptable. Sometimes you do have to sit and do your emails for 25 minutes. But, that's no bad thing. I'm more relaxed because I've done my emails rather than just driving here in a sweaty mess.
Yeah.
And the driving experience, I find it quite addictive. Not chasing to get there in the last 10 minutes anymore, save myself 10 minutes. I'm looking to save myself 10 miles, and so I drive a bit slower, I read the road a bit better, I'm more relaxed in the chair, it's silent. There are lots of positives. So again, don't be scared of it. Embrace it. Yes, you have to force yourself into some situations, but I've taken electric cars to my in-laws in Wales, 250 miles.
Okay.
Wife and kids in the back. If it went wrong, my life was over. It's been fine.
That's a real test, isn't it?
That's when you know. Yeah.
And do you think, is it the future? I think there's lots of different opinions on this. Are we going that way? Are all cars going to be electric? Is it the end of the diesel, etc.?
Yeah, we have no choice, is the very simple answer. The consumers may not want it, and there will be consumer resistance back to people fearing change. But legislation will force it, whether that's 2030, 32, 35, 40, whatever's being discussed, we'll find out soon. But at that point, all new cars will have to be electric, and that will filter through into the car park over the following years. Of course, technology will advance by then, charging technology will advance by then, prices will come down. All the barriers that certainly when we polled the What Car audience we know are there, should be increasingly swept away. And this is what I always say now, if you're looking at an electric car, it may not be for you. There is a limitation. There are many limitations.
It's compromises, isn't it? I suppose.
Absolutely, but they will reduce, and actually some people may be forced into these cars, but I don't believe that they will find particular problems with them when they do make that leap.
Yeah, it's going to change things quite considerably, but I'm looking forward to driving my first electric car at some stage. Like you say, I won't form an opinion until I've done it. Definitely not. And just wrapping up, what do you think the car dealership of the future will look like? I mean, bearing in mind all these things that are changing, the digital transformation, the changes to the drivetrain, etc. What will the dealership of 2030 look like if you walk into it?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question with a very difficult answer. There are all sorts of moonshots out there at the moment where every car will be connected to the dealership. It will know when you're about to arrive. It will have already diagnostically worked out what's wrong with your vehicle. Everything will be super efficient. The moment you arrive, your courtesy car will be there, or you might not even need a courtesy car. I actually think the time frame, if you talk 2030, it's not long enough. We're now 10 years away from there. What will have changed, in these frankly hugely invested in premises? Probably not a great deal, because it takes longer than that. We're meant to be flying around in the 21st century in our flying cars.
Should be on hoverboards now.
Exactly.
According to Back to the Future,
Exactly.
That's where we should be.
One
now.
day we'll get there. But I think the traditional model has some huge merits. And although there are forces wanting to change them, I don't think that will change overnight, and I don't think it'll change at all unless consumers really see the benefit in it. And so I think we're on a very long glide path to our sort of fully digital dealership. There might be one or two showcases by 2030, but I suspect it will be a handful.